Have you ever marveled at the compensation of some stars or athletes or even executives versus their less well paid peers? And why are some of the hardest working people you know paid the least? Have you ever wondered why this is happening and why so much success goes to some and is withheld from others? In today's episode of No More Illusions, we will reveal Barabasi's second universal law of success, which explains why the most successful people are not that much better than everyone else, but they're much more successful. And you'll leave with some practical advice as to how you can amplify your own success. Welcome to No More Illusions. I'm your host, Joe Kwon, the Connection Counselor. This is the second in our 5-part series covering Barabasi's 5 universal laws of success. Law number 2 is performance is bounded, but success is unbounded. In other words, while there is a limit to how much better one person can perform versus another, this smaller difference can lead to huge differences in success. There are many contexts where compensation grows much faster than measurable individual performance. Economics call this, quote-unquote, superstar economics, from Sherwin-Rosen, or winner-take-most markets. The idea is that small differences in position, scale, or visibility can lead to very large pay differences. Let's take a look at some examples across various industries. The CEO versus the average employee. At large public companies such as Walmart or Apple, a typical worker may make $40,000 to $70,000 in salary. The CEO, however, is making a total compensation package, including salary, bonus, and stock, of $20 million to $100 million. In the US, the CEO to worker pay ratio often exceeds 300 to 1. 300 to 1. So I've actually met some great CEOs, but I don't think they're 300 times better in terms of performance than even the most average employee that I've met or the worst employee that I met to justify that discrepancy. Another example, superstar athletes versus average professionals. In sports leagues like the National Basketball Association, the minimum NBA salary is about $1 million. However, superstar contracts can be $50 million or more per year. Now, the performance gap, if you look at the statistics, right, if we're looking at merit, between an NBA star and a bench player may be 20 to 30%, but the compensation can be 10 to 50 times difference. How about movie stars versus working actors? In the film industry, a typical actor in a film might make $10,000 to $100,000. However, an A-list star is making $20 million plus per movie. Now, the difference in acting ability between actors may be modest or it may be great, but you need all the actors to make the movie, and only a few stars, though, get the lion's share of the competition. Remember, performance is bounded, but success is unbounded. So what does that mean for you in terms of your success? When you amplify the success you've already gotten through scaling it, right? Taking that same success and replicating it by being better at distribution, figuring out ways to get more of it out there and earn from that, and also gaining visibility. In other words, use the success you have to build more success, then you can get more unlimited success because your performance is limited while your success is unbounded or unlimited. What ends up happening instead is we often spend all or most of our time trying to make our skills better, when there are those who are less skilled who have leveraged their success to generate much greater success than us or perhaps than we have ever dreamed of. Now, I admire people who have been able to leverage their skills to achieve great success. I don't begrudge anyone their success. That said, it's an illusion that the most successful people are much better than everyone else. And I do begrudge people who actually think that's true, and just because they're successful, they're better than everyone else who isn't successful. I think that's not reality. That's not the way the world really works, although you can see how someone may fall into that trap. The reality is that a human being can only be so much better than another human being. But again, that doesn't mean their success will be similarly limited. When you understand this, you can better see and implement some of the success strategies that work for the most successful, such as using previous success to create even more success, rather than wondering or being upset by the success of others who perhaps don't seem as talented, hardworking, whatever adjective you want to use to criticize them. Personally, I wish all of you, my listeners, the most success. If this resonated, you can join the Connection Counselor newsletter, where I share reflections and practical ideas on work, people, and personal growth. Just go to my website, connectioncounselor.com, to subscribe. While you're there, you might also explore the small collection of books that shaped how I think about work, relationships, and life. You'll find them in the reading section. And if you like the show, please follow it on Spotify or tell a friend. It really helps. Finally, if you uncover an illusion that has changed your life, I'd love to hear about it. Send it to me at joe@connectioncounselor.com. I read every email and genuinely appreciate hearing your perspective. Thanks for listening to No More Illusions. I'm Joe Kwon, the Connection Counselor. Remember, clarity reveals, illusion steals.